Greetings, everyone. In this video, I want to talk to you about building momentum. Whether it's with a project in life, whether it's with relationships, with your finances, whatever it may be, it's really important to understand the process of building momentum. Because I think most of us get burnt out or fed up or discouraged in some way or form, during our process of trying to achieve a goal or achieve an outcome. And this can happen for a multitude of reasons. It can happen for external reasons, like things just didn't go the way that you expected. And so, okay, I give up. Or it could be that you didn't even meet the criteria that you had set for yourself. Like you want to lose weight and you're going to go to the gym 6 days a week, but you only ended up going 3 days a week and you got discouraged and you fell off the wagon. Setbacks can happen for a multitude of reasons. But I think it's really important to anticipate setbacks in your process, but not see them as setbacks. And here's the advantage. Yeah. You have to be able to see your processes in life not as linear, but as cyclical. I figured out in my life that I end up learning the same life lessons over and over and again, but in a more refined way every time, maybe from a different perspective, even. So I can't say that I have gotten from A to B in my life anywhere. Yeah, I could say that about like school and things like that. Oh, I graduated this grade or I got my degree. And you can say that about certain jobs too. I got this promotion at work or I reached this many subscribers on my YouTube. Those are linear goals. That's great. But we can't think linearly to get to these goals. We may see in the macro that, hey, point A to point B is a linear line, but if we zoom in, we see the organic process of what's going on. You might notice that line is actually a pretty wavy line. It's got a bunch of peaks and troughs, lots of high points and low points. And that's really important to assess, really important to analyze and anticipate. Because no matter what you're going to do, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, you're going to have successes, and you're going to have failures, or what you perceive to be failures. Let's call them lessons, yeah? And it's very important to handle both parts of the process with mindfulness, with maturity, with awareness. Let's start with the peak, okay? Because I can easily tell you why a trough or low point is going to be difficult to get out of, right? Or can lead to failure. But let's take a peak point. Let's say you're doing really well at work. Things are going so perfect. I mean, more perfect than perfect. More perfect than you could have imagined. And you start feeling like you have a momentum, and you just might. And you have a flow. You might even start getting a little confident. And that confidence might become a little arrogant or cocky. And you might start feeling invincible. Think about people who have an abundant season in their lives, like NFL athletes or professional athletes, musicians, celebrities, lottery winners. You have all this success and abundance coming in at a certain point in your life. You might get the impression that you're going to be able to sustain that level of abundance for your entire life. It might be very convincing because, hey, yesterday I was doing great. The day before I was doing great. I'm doing great today. It looks like I'm going to do great tomorrow. Shoot, I'm going to be making all this money and having all this abundance for the rest of my life. But guess what? How many videos, how many news articles do we see of celebrities, of athletes, of lottery winners, becoming super wealthy and then going broke? That's because These people who were at their peak, were at their high point in the cycles of life, they got carried away. They let that success get the best of them. They didn't stay humble. They did not conserve their resources or use their resources effectively. And so now life will teach them that lesson. It'll naturally create that lesson to optimize. Because once they lose everything, once you lose everything to it, once you're having like maybe a low point in your project, right? You now have to accomplish your goal, right? You still move into your goal, but you have to accomplish that goal with fewer resources. It could be you have less money or time or motivation, whatever it is. People, you're at a low point. How are you going to get yourself up and continue towards your goal? Well, it's beautiful. If you don't look at it as a failure, if you look at it as part of the process of building momentum, you will see that low points are actually great ways to optimize your effectiveness, your efficiency. If you only have a limited amount of income, let's say to run a restaurant, okay? You may find that in that process of being frugal with your money and strategic, that you didn't need to buy, fancy curtains for your restaurant and have, fancy furniture and have, expensive exotic ornaments everywhere. All you really needed was a simple table with a clean sheet and a flower at each table, a fresh flower and a candle. And that was all the elegance you needed. You didn't need all this flattery and TVs on the walls and all this extra stuff. Just needed something simple to create the ambiance. Now, when your restaurant is doing well, you'll know how to maximize your resources because you won't be wasting them on things that you no longer need. So in that low point, that trough, you have a moment to evaluate and assess and test what can withstand the trials and tribulations that I'm going to go through. How can I optimize my resources? And also in that low point, you get that humility, right? When you're humbled with life's experiences and you start succeeding again, you'll never take your abundance and your wealth for granted. And now you can come into your peak season, your high season, with more mindfulness, more awareness, and with the understanding that everything's going to move up and down. It's okay. But I'm going to allocate whatever I have now in the most effective, most efficient way. And I might even save and organize and preserve resources for future endeavors because I know this peak is not going to last forever. It's a cycle. So basically, guys, what I'm trying to get at is don't give up on your goals just because things didn't go the way you expected them to, or that you didn't even meet your criteria for doing whatever you want. I'll give you an example. I was going to make a YouTube video every single day for 6 months. That was my goal. But I had I took a few days off just now. I needed some time for myself. Had some things I need to assess in my life. And I'm really glad I took that time because now I'm coming with a fresher perspective. I'm coming back more enthusiastic, more energized. And honestly, I wouldn't even have this topic for you if I didn't take that time out. I'd probably get burnt out and I'd be forced to take that rest regardless. Yeah, before I end this video, that's another thing I want to talk about, right? If you don't allow the peaks and troughs to happen, they're going to happen inevitably. They'll be forced onto your life, whether it's through some kind of tragedy or disaster or separation or a failure or whatever. They will come because we need that balance. We need to understand when we are low on energy that there's hope, that there are possibilities on the horizon that we couldn't fathom because we don't have the experiences or the resources yet. So this is the time to build effectiveness and faith and stability, good foundation. And when you reach your top, it's a good time to learn from those lessons and be humbled and be prepared, anticipate. Because, like, coming back to what we talked about earlier, you might be going from, in the macro, you might be going from point A to point B, and it looks linear, but if you zoom into the process, you'll see that that line is very wavy. Right? That is to say, guys, if you have a goal, if you have a long-term goal, it's good. Map it out in a linear way. Stay consistent. Consistency is crucial, but always leave space for variability. Always leave space to be human, to take breaks, to reassess, to reevaluate. Because that's also part of the process. It's a yin-yang. Though we see the line as straight, it is actually very squiggly in the details. Thank you very much, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Many blessings.